I've just been asked for a roadmap to get into dermatology specialist training in the UK to become a dermatologist. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the application process, interview process, and tips and tricks to get into dermatology specialist training in the UK. Hi, my name is Dr.ErmaDerma and I'm a dermatology specialist trainee, so let's go. So the first steps, you want to complete medical school, foundation year, and IMT training. There are other routes such as the pediatric and core surgical training route, but the IMT route is the most straightforward way. And you want to plan your portfolio during this time to get to dermatology specialty training interview. And the way you want to plan your portfolio is by going through the Physician Higher Specialty Training website, and you want to plan your application according to these points. And you want to try to go for the maximum amount of points for your portfolio, because this will be marked on your application form, which you would need to apply on Oriel. It will ask you your commitment to specialty, postgraduate qualifications, prizes and distinctions, quality improvement projects, publications, teaching, and leadership. My tips for the application is do not lie and do not over-exaggerate, because the worst case scenario, this can become a probity issue and could be reported to the GMC, or the least case scenario, you could get marked down. The other tip is do not undersell yourself, because then you may not get enough points to be eligible for an interview. And I think where most people go wrong is that they don't plan their portfolio according to the points. They may have so much experience in dermatology, but they have not gotten any evidence or any experience in the other criteria. And it's like a tick box exercise to be eligible for a dermatology interview. However, if you are scoring around the 36 to 40 range, you have a great chance in getting a dermatology interview. But it does vary year to year because it depends on who applies. Then, when you do get your dermatology interview, you want to research on how your interview is structured, which you can check on the Physician Higher Specialty Training website again. The interview consists of 3 stations, and they are the research and academic medicine, clinical scenario, and suitability and commitment. The entire interview, including the time between stations, is expected to last approximately 30 to 35 minutes. Each station will last for 7 minutes and will have a different pair of interviews who will evaluate your performance. You will be assessed on how you answer their questions and your communication skills. The interviewers will score you ranging from 1 to 5, 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. So if we go through each of the stations in more detail, the research and academic station is where you'll be presented with an abstract, which you would have 5 minutes to read before you begin your interview. And you'd have to discuss the main points in the research, like what the research question was, study design used, and outcomes. You would also need to give a few points in critique of the study, like what was done well in the study and what were the limitations. In the clinical scenario station, at the start of the interview, you'll be given a clinical scenario. The interviewers will provide some information about a patient, and you would need to say what your differential diagnosis is, what treatment steps you would take, any other information you would need to gather. It's often mixed in with an ethical scenario as well, and you'd need to respond how you would deal with that ethical scenario and how you would communicate in that scenario. And the third station, suitability and commitment, it's in the title, and this question will focus on your training in the specialty and give you opportunity to expand on the information provided in your application form. But not all of these stations will be weighted the same, since if we go through the total score for each one, the research and academic station is weighted as 25 points, the clinical scenario is 18, communication is marked as 12, suitability and commitment is marked as 25. To get more information, just go on Physician Higher Specialty Training recruitment website and click on dermatology and go on the interview and scoring page. General interview tips that I can give you is that you want to achieve the maximum points in the interview. For the commitment to specialty, try to prepare every possible question you may get asked for and answers for this, so you would not be caught off guard. You may think this is excessive, but you get to realize all the questions begin to sound the same, but with different wording. One book that I can recommend is The Medical Interviews, A Comprehensive Guide to CT, ST, and Registrar Interview Skills. And then you just want to answer all the questions in your own way and just memorize those answers. For the research and academic station, try to go through all the abstracts of different study designs of research and practice each one many times. Again, prepare every limitation and strength of each study design. And then for the clinical scenario, They would ask basic dermatology cases which you would have known in your MRCP, such as bullous pemphigoid, erythroderma. They'll tend not to ask you very specialised dermatology clinical cases. For the ethical scenarios, again, go through the medical interviews book and practice the ethical scenarios from there. And just for general interview practice, practice in mirrors, friends, and there are courses which you can go on and practice there. One interview course is Derm Owl. And if we look at the points weighting for each of the stations, obviously focus on what you feel like you would need to improve on, but try to focus on practicing more on the research and academic and suitability and commitment. Because if you focused more of your time and attention on the clinical scenario, that score weighting is less than the other stations. In terms of the matching process, judging from your points, you get scored in your interview. This contributes to your rank compared to everyone else who applied and got interviewed and are scored. Then you rank from first to last on all the regions you want to go to, and judging from where you are ranked, you get allocated to that region. You may be put on a waiting list and they will tell you what rank you are in the waiting list, but don't get disheartened by this, since there are many people who may not accept their place because it would be inconvenient for them because of other commitments. And don't get disheartened if you do not get into specialty training in dermatology, since plenty of people do reapply again and go through the process again. It's just how much you are willing to wait and if there is not much sacrifice in reapplying again. You'll also get feedback from the interview so you can check on where to improve next time. However, this is not the only way of becoming a consultant dermatologist. If you're interested, then you may want to check out on how to become a dermatologist in the UK.